Okay, so as people come in, we are going to just mute people as they come in. And we're hoping that this discussion will be like 20-30 minutes. And then we will um, tee up any questions that we have. But there is a problem in our country. We're just going to get to it. And Staci and I wanted to round up the month of love with a courageous conversation, helping people to have a safe space just to hear what is happening in the world if they're not aware. I don't know how they wouldn't be aware. But through this conversation, we hope to create awareness and curiosity so that not only we can fall in love with the problem and try to help each other through this, but maybe even fall in love with people that we don't know anything about. And so with that, before we get into the meat of it, I want to take a moment and just introduce my bestie, Staci King Peterson. She will always be Staci King to me because I knew her before the Peterson, but she is my shake to my bake. And that story will come a little later. She has a degree in international business and Japanese, which I think is just so cool. And she is the balance to my crazy. She always has words of wisdom and words of reason for me. And I just love having her in my life. I'm grateful to have her. And I've opened up my life through her to amazing, great friends as well. So thank you, Staci, for joining me.
Hey, Martha. I'm so glad that we were able to get this together and pull together. And thank you for everybody that's able to join. We're super excited. And as Martha talked about, this is the month of love. It's also, a month celebrating with Black History Month as well. And so I think that this was a good time to kind of bridge the gap, so to say.
Yes.
But as Martha was saying, I am her shake to her bake, but she's my bake to my shake. So we just kind of do things together. And as you all can probably tell, we're dressed in similar colors and we didn't mean to do it. It just kind of happens. We used to do this all the time when we worked together. Never
Yes.
talk about it. So it's pretty cool. But to introduce Martha, if you all do not know, Miss Martha McAnlis, she has this wonderful Facebook page, which is No Limits, Finding the Power in You. She's a CEO and boss babe of Profit, Pivot to Profit.
Yes.
And I will have to tell you, as far as Martha is concerned, her character speaks volume. She is the friend that's going to push you to be the best that you can be. She's going to ask you to look deeper into yourself and who you are. And even when you are dead dog scared to do it, she's going to push you in a gentle way to be the best that you possibly can be. She is high energy. And the crazy part is we're almost the exact opposite on a personality profile. So she's high introverted, like high extroverted. I'm high introverted. She was like red, yellow, which we can explain later. And I was like blue, green. And so it's amazing how it kind of works together
Yeah.
as the opposite. She's that friend that's going to always give you the words of wisdom and encouragement and send random gifts to let you know that you are loved and books that you need to read to keep you motivated. And so I'm super excited to be here with her.
Oh, thank you so much, Staci. And oh, I forgot to mention, if you guys need a stylist, Staci is the best, by the way. She has a business called Conservative Hooch, and she is the styling queen. So yeah, I forgot about that. That's like the most important. She taught me so much about styling, which is one of the things of how we built this great relationship. But yes, thank you for being here too, Staci, and sharing your love for others as well. What a better way to start a conversation. And we just thought we go by the Shake and Bake Enterprises. And if you're familiar with that, it's just such an exciting thing. How we came to that was we actually worked together. And our boss at the time was explaining me as, because we were national trainers, um, me as a piece of steak. And I brought um, the experience of building curriculum and doing training and everything. And then Staci was the pizzazz and the excitement and the creativity. And the people we were at dinner with were like, no. And they said, we're naming you Shake and Bake because that makes more sense. And it literally stuck. And everything we did was shake and bake. And we ended up getting t-shirts and it just kind of blew up a relationship. But we really wanted to share a little bit of how our relationship truly developed because we were two different people coming to a new city. Neither one of us knew a soul, and we were completely different. I'm a white girl from Podunk country. I lived on a farm growing up. And Staci was from the inner city and in Detroit. And so we had a lot of differences, but we had the commonality of being able to come to a certain place and we were curious about each other.
Mm-hmm.
So before we do get into the nitty gritty, we want to let you know if you have questions, put them in the comments. We will either try to fit them in as the conversation goes as we see fit, or we will come back to them at the end. We'll spend about 20-30 minutes on our topic. And then we will give you time for questions if you'd rather ask them in person. Or if you're seeing the replay, go ahead and put them in and we can always address you later on. So that is the housekeeping. As we proceed, we just want to make sure that this is a safe place for everybody to share what is on their hearts. And so with that, I want to start off with asking Staci a question. You know, going into a role like that and not knowing anybody, not knowing me, what was it for you that created a safe space that we were able to build this great relationship?
Well, I have to say, one of the things that happened in the process was that we started traveling a lot together for different training sessions. And one of the things that happened during the training session was as we were going to different hotels in different states, Martha started noticing a difference in the rooms that I was getting versus the rooms that she would get. And she was like, now this is just odd. And so eventually I got comfortable enough to tell her that sometimes it kind of just works that way. And I'm just kind of used to getting like these type of rooms or whatever because of whatever biases that would happen at the hotel. And I can remember we were in Wisconsin at this unmentionable place. And we both checked in at the exact same time. And Martha gets this suite, and I get like this hole in the wall area. And Martha sees it and just goes off, calls up down to the front desk. She is upset. She's like, I don't understand why this is happening. Like, why does she keep getting, like, I don't get this. This is just unfair. This is not I don't get it. And so it opened up more of a conversation for her and I to be able to talk about some of the things that I've experienced in my career and in my life, and how unfortunately I've kind of had to learn how to navigate that. And Martha was open to that. And one other incident when we first really got together, we were having a training, and in the parking lot, Martha came to me, and I could be wrong, correct me, Martha, but I remember you were like, "You're shutting down, and I don't understand why. You just you so if I have conflict and I don't want to address it, and especially being at work, I will just completely shut down and I'll go in complete professional mode and you won't get anything out of me." And her and I had the most honest conversation in a parking lot of a hotel to figure out what was going on and why our relationship was not meshing well the way that it should have been, especially as being trainers. And one of the things that I told her was that there were certain ways of how she would speak to people, and it didn't come across to me right. So I just won't deal with it. And she was able to express to me her feelings behind it, and we started to understand one another. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh wow, okay, so we have cultural differences in the way that we handle things, but if we really listen to the other person and realize that there was not intent behind it that was malicious, that it was just, this is the way I'm used to doing things and I'm open to learning a new way, but I didn't even know that how I've been doing things may not mesh well with other people.
Yeah. Yeah. People might be surprised, but I used to be red hot, fiery, and brought the hammer every time. Like, this is the way we do it. This is how it happens. And through the relationship with Staci, she truly showed me a different way. And I think had we not taken the time to like, had I not stepped in and said, "Hey, I'm seeing a difference in you. Can you share with me what it was?" If I didn't let my walls down, we would have constantly just been at each other and not built a team together. So it always takes a choice on one side or both sides. And this is our challenge for today, is how do we make a choice to love the other person when we may not know them or know where they're coming from, and can get curious about, hey, I noticed something just isn't right. How do we bridge the gap in love? And just listen, because we are going to find out. Like, had I not taken the moment to say, hey, this is off, or brought the hammer, I'm sure that person in Wisconsin was like, holy crap, I don't know what happened. and like, we built this ally, like, in each other, by being able to be vulnerable and to be able to be curious.
And to listen and not judge, like, and
Right.
not put in biases that
Right.
maybe you've experienced before, or thinking that someone must be this way because that's just the way they are, and
Mm-hmm.
then just kind of chucking it up to, oh okay, and then now you have this attitude, and it could be completely misinterpreted,
Yeah.
miscommunication. And I
Right.
think that was one of the big things that we learned about each other. And once we had that moment, we were unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. We just kept forging a new path, forging new behavior for both of us, because as we learned, we had the choice to either reject it and still do what we were doing, or make adjustments and understand that life isn't all about our way of thinking.
So, Martha, you have to answer the same question. So, what did I do for you to create a safe space with me?
So I can't say that it was one specific thing. So Stacy is so funny. She has this way about her, like people that know her in a work setting, she's very buttoned up and she's very professional and da 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 da. Well, we get in this very uncomfortable situation, and all of a sudden, I see glimmers of this silly Stacy that I'm like, ooh, who's this person? And it kind of helped my walls to come down. So I remember this one time I was like, I am a get it done girl. If you need something done, I will figure out how to do it 4 to 5 different ways in 4 to 5 different efficient ways, like all at the same time. So I was like busy at my desk, just going to town, and my blinders go on when I'm working. And all of a sudden, she plops her head down on my desk. Like we had this cubicle that was like up here. And she all of a sudden was like, hi. So we're in this together, aren't we? And she just sat there. And I literally, so I'm doing work this way. I literally go, what are you talking about? Like, I just was like, I'm doing my work. Like, what are you talking about? Well, we went to dinner that night. First of all, she totally embarrassed me in a Chipotle.
She could have been married to her husband by now if she had just listened to me, but no. Go ahead.
And totally embarrassed me, which I guess that takes some of that to get me off my professionalism, I guess. And we just had a great open conversation. And I think that started it because I learned your heart, and I learned that you really are this fun-loving person, that we both came into this situation and we were like so fish out of water, and we needed to be together. Like we needed to be in it together. We needed to build that alliance and we needed to move forward together. Otherwise, it was going to be a painful couple years for both of us. The second was she kind of figured out how to put me in my place in a respectful way where no one ever knew she was putting me in my place, but I knew she was. There was an incident, and I actually could have probably been fired, but thankfully, Stacy was bold enough to say, Martha, you can't speak to people like that, even though she's wrong. And even though she's treating you badly, you can't do that. And her being bold enough to come to me and say that, like, was like, oh, I can trust her, one, so I don't get fired. And then the other is like, she felt confident in me that I wouldn't lash out at her, and which is hard because she is a high blue green and introverted and coming out a fiery red girl. Holy moly, that could be travesty, but it wasn't. It wasn't. And we were able to build this amazing relationship through being in the valleys together and talking through it to get out.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of those things together is what built a safe space for me.
Well, good. I'm glad I was able to do that. I was
Yeah.
gonna stick my head over there anyway, whether you was gonna bark at me or not.
I know. So, before we had our relationship, what it was, did you have any misconceptions about people like me?
I did. I really
Yeah.
did. So
Okay.
for the most part, I thought all white people have money and that they come from these established homes and that they had this uh, elite elitism or personality about themselves, and that I just made these assumptions thinking, okay. And I later learned that was the complete opposite. So, and I was honest enough with you because I said, I used to think this, and it wasn't like I didn't have experience around being around white people. It was more so like I never opened myself up to be vulnerable or to have the confidence to have the courageous conversations, to ask the questions, to learn more about them. I just kind
Yeah.
of made my assumptions and kind of fit myself into whatever box I thought they were. And it
Mm.
wasn't, and that wasn't the case. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this conversation with you, because there are so many people who probably look at somebody else
Hmm.
and they have these biases that they don't even know that they have. And if you check yourself in the mirror, you'll go, I don't have those biases. I don't think that. But really, you treat them with those biases, whether you're conscious of it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And they come through in different ways that we don't even realize. And like I had a friend years ago, he asked me, um, open up your phone. How many people don't look like you? And I said, actually, a lot. You don't know who you're talking to, but anyways, but it does, it opens our eyes. So how many people, if you think about it, in your phone don't look like you? And it's a great thing for us to ask our audience, because it's like, are we living in our little box, like you said, of what we learned and who we are? And are we not opening ourselves up to other people?
Mm-hmm.
Because we might be missing out on the best relationship ever. Had I not opened up to you and you hadn't opened up to me, we wouldn't have this best friend relationship. We wouldn't have the experiences. My goodness, we have so many amazing experiences. We're going to write a book one day, because
Yeah, the
all the
Shake and Bake
things
Chronicles.
we've done and said, like, it just is funny. But yeah. So
So, Martha, let me ask you, what was some maybe some miscommunications or um curiosities that you
mhm.
had prior to meeting me?
So I always had curiosity. But I didn't know I had it until I met you,
Mm-hmm.
because I I don't know why, and maybe it was the things that we went through. I always felt comfortable, even if it didn't come out right. And I would always preface it, I don't think this is going to come out right. However, I would like to know about this. So people of color wear different hair all the time. And you always had the same hair. And then all of a sudden you came in with all this beautiful hair. And I'm like, what is happening? And then you educated me on wigs and sew-ins, and I had no idea about it. I knew about, because from my pageant days, I did like clip-in hair, but that's all I was familiar with. I didn't realize that to protect your hair, that's what women do. And
Mm-hmm.
it just like opened up my eyes. And if you don't have someone that looks different than you or does different things than you probably don't have the opportunity to ask those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a curiosity of like, oh, well, maybe I could do that. That makes a lot of sense because we destroy our hair. We put so much heat on our hair, and by the time we're older, it's like it's fried. So it's like, I don't know. So it makes sense to me. And then the other thing was, um, you were the first person to like teach me about styling. I always just wore my clothes. And you always came in very vibrant colors and like, and a lot of colored people wear very vibrant colors. And I just wasn't used to that. I wore blacks and browns and grays and, very neutral. And when I moved to Chicago, I had wanted to like open up my wardrobe to color, but I didn't know how to do it. So I tried different things like Stitch Fix and things like that. But you actually came to my house and looked at my wardrobe and you were like, I've never seen half of these things. Why? And so you taught me about styling and putting things together that I would have never dreamed of in my life. And she completely opened up my eyes to color and how it works and what to do and what not to do. And so it just, curiosity about it helped me to learn how to actually dress myself.
And honey, she would put some colors together now. You see,
Yeah.
Martha should put some patterns, some things together. Like she got it. She feels confident in doing so and gets a
Yeah.
ton of compliments when she does it.
Yes, exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
that's because of you, and I appreciate it. Um, so we wanted to open up our relationship a little so that we could show you all that when you come in love, love bridges the gap between anything. And when there's a problem, if you can look at it through the filter of love, it can actually propel you forward into directions that you never considered before. We did want to give you a tool. So say you're in a situation that is super uncomfortable and you're wanting to either freak out or run away. What are some things that you can do to be able to get through that? Something that has started helping me, and I learned through you, Staci, is ask yourself, what is happening for me right now to make me want to freak out or run away? And you have to pause. You have to look around. You have to observe what's happening because oftentimes the answer's on the inside.
Mm.
It's you're either out of control, like the situation is out of your control, or you just don't have the knowledge to help yourself through it. And then I want you to take and decide, okay, if this is a situation you're really uncomfortable with, if you're not able to speak well or speak through love or ask a curious question of, tell me more about that, or help me understand your perspective on this, then walk away, tell the person, I'll be back. Walk away, take a walk. Staci had to do this to me many a times. We need to take a walk and come back and then reconvene when you are more clear-headed, because it always helps to diffuse a situation, no matter what, if you just create some space, but always do it in love.
And to pivot on to what Martha was saying, one of the things that I learned, Martha, really was to find my voice, especially in corporate America. I had gotten to a point where I accepted a lot of things and I didn't raise my voice because I didn't want to be seen. I just wanted to go in, get my job done, and leave. And Martha taught me a lot about finding that inner part of you. And I know I have a problem with my facial expressions. So Martha would have to either tap me, send me a text message, and say, fix your face. And I would have to get it together, because if I heard something that was just not professional or just dead wrong, it would show here, even though I wouldn't say it. And so
Mhm.
that was kind of her communication to me, like, okay, let's bring it together. We're going to use our words. We're not going to give them the look.
Yes.
And so had we not had the opportunity to get to know each other and start trusting each other and having those courageous conversations in love about our differences and being curious, or misconceptions or stereotypes that we develop, we wouldn't know that to be able to help each other through what we were going through, because being trainers were hard. It was a hard situation. And at some point we almost kind of felt like we were being pitted against each other on various different projects. And it wasn't that way. It was just things needed to be done. And we had to trust each other to know that we had each other's backs.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And you had mentioned it earlier, but we actually believe we started the listen and don't judge way before it was actually a thing, because we were forced into it. We were in this crazy world and we chose every day, even if we were having a crazy day. There were times when you said it, there were times when I said it, don't talk to me. I am not in the great mood. Like, and we respected it. But if we don't listen, if we don't get to those moments of choosing love, we don't ever see the magic. And thankfully, we were both able to lean into the magic. And we have some crazy stories that maybe we'll just do a comedy skit or something someday. But when you judge, you don't learn and you don't see how differences can be beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope that the conversation today helped you to see how taking a chance might be helpful. Do you have any last comments, Staci?
Um, I would say this from this conversation, and one of the things or the goals that we wanted to have for today was, we talked about our experiences. We talked about some of the things that we thought. I encourage everyone that's watching, who's listening, that if you have a coworker, because most of the time as adults, that's where we're in working environments, right? So that's where we're meeting most of our people. But if you're in a social setting, organizations, church, let me put that out there, because we got a lot of church
Mm-hmm.
hurt that
Yeah.
can happen. And most of the time when you start having issues or challenges with people, I challenge you to look at yourself, find out, am I looking at the situation in the right manner? Am I judging this person based off of, how I'm feeling? Because we really just don't know what that person might have walked into. We don't know that maybe they just left the hospital, seeing their loved one. We don't know if they had an issue with their marriage or their kid at home. And so unfortunately, you're the first person they might have came in contact with. So it may not be a pleasant experience. And then we build our biases based off of that. And it may not be fair to them. So I think from this conversation, I would challenge you to really think about anybody in your life that maybe you've come in contact with that maybe you shut out for not a real good reason, and just take the time to reach out to them and learn more about them.
Yeah.
Have that
I love.
courageous conversation,
Mm-hmm.
because they
Nice.
could be your next shake and bake. I mean, it could never
It
be
could
us.
be.
We're just
Yeah.
who we are. But
Yeah.
they could be your next Martha, your next Staci, and you never even know it. And then you start learning so many things. Martha has helped me through multiple uh things in life, not just with careers and jobs, but just talking through the process of seeing things from a different perspective.
Same. Same, because I get all in my head and hot headed and then I just shut down too. And Stacy helps me like weed it out and okay, just relax. It's all right. And she helps me become level headed and think about it from a different perspective. So, yeah.
So I'm curious, are there any questions out there, Martha?
Yeah, I didn't receive any. Anyone that's on the line, do you want to ask any questions? You can either put it in the chat or you can unmute your line and we can open it up.
Or if you had any comments.
Yeah, or comments or whatever you thought of the discussion.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We are just blessed that we could create a space for people to feel comfortable to come. And if you're watching the replay, we thank you as well. And we look forward to connecting with you later. If you have questions, just put it in the comments and we will be happy to address them.
All
Thanks and
right.
talk soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.